So I think it's been years since I've talked about what's on my master fader, so I figured we could do that today. All right, so this example that I'm going to use today is actually the session for Set the Break by Clance and Imes. So that's my duo that I just started with Evan Diamond. So I will put links to that in the description. This is shameless self-promotion, but I also have the rights to use it, so that's part of why we're here. But I think it's a decent example of what I've been putting on my master fader lately. And I just want to clarify that in this instance, in this video, I'm going to be talking about when I'm doing the mastering as well as the mixing, basically. So there's some preemptive mastering that I put on here. A lot of times I will do this even if I'm not going to do the final master, and I'll do that just for psychological reasons to make it sound good for the client or, bigger and more full and more in your face for the client, whatever words you want to use to describe it. And then I will often bypass a lot of these plugins for the final mix. So it does depend a lot on what I'm doing. I do recommend to people that they go to a separate mastering engineer if possible. I know that financial reasons might come into play here, but it's good to have a separate set of ears on your piece. So no matter how good the mixing engineer is, I think it's always good to have that second set of ears for the mastering engineer, to have a separate mastering engineer, just so they can alleviate some of the weaknesses that the mixing engineer has, either personally or in their space, right? And it's also a very specialized thing. Mastering is a very specialized thing, and I am not specialized in mastering. I am mostly a recording and mixing engineer. I am not a mastering engineer. I can do some basic mastering, but it's going to be different if you go to a dedicated mastering engineer. So with that said, a lot of the time I will try to keep things fairly simple on my master fader for the final mix, right? So I might have stuff that will be in play for psychological reasons or for fun, right? While we're actually listening back, while we're working on the piece. And then I will toggle them on and off periodically to make sure that we're in a good place for that final mix level. And then I will bypass them for the final mix. So there is a lot of that. There's a lot of back and forth here. But sometimes I do have people ask me to just do the master. Either they don't want to deal with finding a mastering engineer, or it's financial reasons, or what have you. A lot of times I do get asked to do it, and I will do a basic master on things and get it to the levels that, like, Spotify, for example, recommends. So with that said, I'll just kind of show you what I have on this one specifically and kind of talk about what I tend to do, what's usual about it, what's unusual about it, what's missing from it, right? And just keep in mind that depending on what I'm doing, this might be very different. Depending on the genre, it might be very different. And I think that's all my hedging for this one. So I will launch right into it. So here's my master fader. I'm going to actually switch to the mix window because my brain just likes it a little better there. So you can see my inserts A through E, inserts F through J, and I'm just going to open them and show you. So what I usually do, every single thing that I work on, is I will have a Fabfilter Pro Q on the first insert. And this is often just to monitor levels, just to see what's going on. If I want to get a glimpse at it, I can look at it here. So a lot of times this isn't changed at all. In this case, I did cut some of the lows, but it totally depends on the piece. Usually this is very close to flat, if anything. And what I do whenever I open the Pro Q3 is I will shift over here. I will hit this arrow button until it says flat 7 bands, and then I will switch this over to natural phase. And that's just kind of the first thing that I do whenever I'm mixing with the Pro Q3. So I'll have this on there. It's more for monitoring and looking at things than actually changing anything. In this instance, I have this Slate Digital. I think this is the Virtual Tape Machines. Yeah, Virtual Tape Machines plugin. I like this a lot. It does depend on the genre, right? If you want something more EDM-y or more metal, or something that's cutting, you want it to cut through the mix a lot more, you might not want as much analog emulation, right? Because analog tends to cut those highs and round off the harshness a lot. So it does depend on the genre. In this case, I wanted it to be more mellow and more warm and more analog-y sounding. So I did add this into the master fader in this situation. So then what I have on this one, in this instance, this isn't always the next thing here. Sometimes I will have this next one, which I'll show you in a second. But I just have the L1 Ultramaximizer. I've been really loving this one on the master fader lately. And in this case, I have some shaping on it. I've done the auto release. I've done only a little tiny bit of limiting here, and I've kept it in the analog domain for this one. And then what I'll usually have, if I don't have this version of it, I will at least have another version of it later, which is what this one's doing. And oh, this is interesting. So lately what I've been doing is I've been having the second one on true peak, and that helps you hit exactly that -1 requirement that some streaming services want you to hit for a true peak. So what I'll do is I'll set the out ceiling to -1, and then I'll set this to true peak. And so that's more common than what we have here, which is not the same. But I don't remember what the reasoning was for why I did this. But the point is, usually I do have an L1 Ultramaximizer that's towards the end of my chain here on the master fader. And you can set it that way. More often than not, what I've been doing is the true peak and -1, 1.0, and then it really helps you hit that value there. And lately what I've been doing, see, it's been like a couple months since I did this, so things change constantly. I don't know why I didn't do another What's on my master fader more recently, because I think it's literally been years since I've done it. But lately what I've been doing is I've been putting this one as a second to last plugin here, because then that really helps you hit that exact number for the true peak. You don't have to worry as much about the true peak. I've just found that to be more easy. So that's what I've been doing a lot. But back to this. So I have an iteration of this. Sometimes I will have this next one first. And so this is just a hardware insert. And so what it's going out is to my Neve 5254, and that's just a Neve compressor. So it's a stereo compressor. I have it set, what do I have it set to? It's pretty low ratio. Right now I have it at a 2:1. I don't remember what I was doing last with it, but it's usually like 1.5 or 2:1 for my ratio. I'll have let's see, what do I have here? I tend to, I don't have to move the threshold a ton depending what I'm doing, because usually what I have is I've kind of gain staged everything leading up to this point, and so usually what's coming into this is fairly close in levels to like whatever I did with the previous piece that I was working on. So a lot of times I don't have to change the threshold a ton. I don't have to change the gain a ton. But yeah, almost always I'll put this Neve in here. It does round things off a bit more, right? Neve is famous for doing that compared to, for example, SSL. It'll keep more of those like surgical highs in there. So for example, with things like certain types of EDM or metal or stuff like that, where you want those high frequencies to really cut through and get in your face, I will skip this one, which is painful for me because I love my Neve, but I will skip it because it doesn't always match the style of the music. So then let's see, I mentioned this, a lot of times this is at the very end, and I don't remember why I did this. This is very unusual for me to add this here. I might have done it just to make I did, to make the bass mono. So this is the multiband compressor by Fabfilter. I love it. I've been using it a lot. It would be on one of my lists for like plugins that I use constantly recently. So basically what I think I did here was, for the most part, I probably did a little bit of work on these, right? Just because they're still active. But I think probably why I started to add this in here was to make this bass frequency range mono. So what I do is I set the frequency range. A lot of times I'll do, this is a little low compared to what I usually do. Sometimes it's closer up to like 200 even, and then below. And then what I will do is I will take this knob here, and if you turn it all the way over to the left, does that count as left? I think it does. Then that makes it mono. Or my understanding is, hopefully, that's making it mono. That's my understanding. Let me know if anyone knows that that's not right. But I looked at the manual and stuff, and I think that's right. So yeah, sometimes I'll do a little bit of control with the multiband compressor, but I don't always add this. And sometimes when I add it, I literally just put one band and it's for the bass to make it mono. But it does depend on what I'm working on, right? Like, I keep saying EDM because I've been working on some EDM recently, but like EDM, certain genres, they like having the bass kind of envelop you. And so having it stay stereo really helps with that. And I know that breaks a lot of rules that people say you shouldn't or should not follow, but like breaking rules is fun sometimes. So I don't always do this, but when I do, it's usually to start with the bass and make it mono. All right, and then I think this is pretty much the only thing that probably hasn't changed very much since the last time I did one of these videos, and this is the HOFA 4U meter fader and MS Pan. This is a free plugin. I love this plugin. I use this every project I have. It's one of the first things I do is I put this. It's always the last thing in the signal chain because it's just a metering plugin. So it's just showing me what my levels are going out. So you have to have it as the last one in the signal chain or you're not seeing what's actually going out. So what I do is I just go to settings, I make sure this is an integral, and then I set this to LUFS 18. And then what happens is when you're ready to test your levels, right, you can look at True Peak over here. I have this set to True Peak, so I just look at it over here. I'll click it to clear it. I'll click this to clear it. And then what I will do is I will play the entire song from start to finish, because with LUFS, if you are getting, since I am in this mode integral, it's getting the average of the entire thing that you play. So it's going to give you one LUFS number for your entire song. So you do have to play the entire song. And usually what I'll do for this is, if I'm getting down to it and really setting those level, like this is the last thing I have to do and there's nothing else left, right? I will actually, I have my markers for the start and the end of the song, and I will use my shortcuts, right? So I'll go, like, if the marker is 1 for the start and number 2 for the end, I'll do period 1 period and then shift and then period 2 period, and that will highlight my entire song. And it's exactly what my highlight's going to be for my bounce. So I know it's going to be an exact number that I see. And then I'll turn off loop playback. So I turn off loop playback so it doesn't then loop when it gets to the end of the playback, and it'll stop, and I'll actually be able to see what that LUFS value is before it then restarts and affects the value. So this is really important. This is just for getting those meter levels, right? And this is more important if you're doing the final master, right? With the final mix that you send to a mastering engineer, there's a little more leeway usually for what the levels can be, but it's still good to have so you can see where you're hitting, right? So that's what I have in the master fader for this track. Another one that I've been doing a lot lately is let's see, what have I been adding? It's one of the slate ones. And this is kind of new for me. I've just kind of been messing with it, seeing if I like it. I think it's the virtual mastering console. Let's open it. I think this is the one I've been adding. Yeah. So I've been using this a lot. I've been liking it. I'm still deciding if I really like it, but it's been pretty good. What I'll do sometimes is I'll like turn these off and I'll leave this first one on, and I'll kind of set this. This is a compressor, right? So I'll set the ratio pretty low, usually around here, around 1.5-ish, maybe a little bit lower even. And then I'll set the threshold so it's barely compressing. So this is showing the gain reduction right now, GR, gain reduction. So I'll set it so it's only reducing by like -1 or -2 dB. I'm doing real subtle stuff here. And then I'll set the attack and release how I like it. Turn it on and off, make sure I like what I did. And then I will move on to this one. And this one's kind of fun. It just lets you add some more oomph, some more detail, right? I haven't looked in the manual to see what it's doing, but I like what it's doing sometimes. I know I don't crank this one up a ton. I'll raise or level the gain based on where I want to be and where I currently am, right? And then the dynamic perception knob is kind of fun to mess with too, especially if you want like a lot of power in whatever you're working on. Sometimes I'll mess with this one a little bit, but it's kind of up to you, and then I toggle it on and off, decide whether I like what I did. And then I'll often toggle the whole thing on and off and decide if I like what I did. And this is another way to see your meters, what's coming in. So it's good for that. And this one has RMS too, which can be handy. Some people care about RMS depending on what you're working on. So I've been adding that one a lot. So kind of the essentials that I always tend to have are the Pro Q3, the meters, the L1 Ultramaximizer, usually at the bottom here, the Neve most of the time. Not all the time. The tape machines, most of the time, not all the time. Sometimes another limiter. Kind of just depends on how much power you want in the song, right? How much oomph you want. And then this slate plugin. And I think that's basically it. That's basically what I've been doing. So what I might do here is I might hit play so you can hear a little bit of this track. And I'm going to click on the master fader, and I'm going to do Shift A to bypass all the plugins at once and then bring them back in just so you can hear the difference. And then I might kind of go through one at a time and bypass and activate them so you can kind of hear the difference. So let me do that for you. Oh, and I'm going to bypass my hardware compressor as well so you can hear when all the plugins are bypassed. The hardware compressor is not going to show that it's bypassed, but I will physically do it. So it will be matching whatever the state is for the other plugins. So, yeah.
Before I'm an imposter in my own skin, so let it sink in. You can set the brake, but it'll scar. It's how we learn to live. It's how things are. I'm on the edge of starting something I can't finish.
Now I'm turning this one on.
I've been moving on, but I can't win this. The heat in summertime, do you
actually, I'll bring this light in and kind of mess with it a little bit really quickly, just so you can kind of see what it's like.
Before I'm an imposter in my own skin, so let it sink in. You can set the brake, but it'll scar. It's how we learn to live. It's how things are. I'm on the edge of starting something I can't finish. I've been moving on, but I can't win this. The heat in summertime, do you mind if it stays inside my head? Would that be fine? You set the brake, but it'll scar.
You hear how dramatic that one is? It's kind of fun.
I've been moving on, but I can't win this. The heat in summertime, do you mind if it stays inside my head? Would that be fine? You set the brake, but it'll scar. It's how we learn to live. It's how things are.
And of course, now I'm clipping because of what I did, so I would adjust this again. But you get the idea, I think, of what it does. Let me bring this back out before I forget. So that's basically it. That's kind of what I've been doing on my master fader lately. I hope someone finds that helpful. And again, it changes constantly depending on what I'm working on, what I'm doing, what my goal is, what my assignment is, the genre of music, and then, my feelings and how things change and what tools I'm using. That constantly evolves. So that's always changing. So this is not like a hard and fast rule. There are a million different ways to do this. That's half the fun, right? So, but yeah, I hope someone found this helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I would really appreciate all of that stuff. And I do have a Patreon, so it's patreon.com/CatoNoise. And my patrons get access to additional content. I've been really focusing on the Discord server that we've been hanging out on and the book club that we've been running inside the Discord server. Right now, we are reading Susan Rogers' new book. It is, This Is What It Sounds Like, and I have been loving this book so much. It's so good. I thought I couldn't beat the Sylvia Massey book, and this one doesn't beat it. They're both equally awesome, but I've been really happy with our book choices lately, so it's been a lot of fun. So check that out if you feel so inclined, patreon.com/CatoNoise. It does help support my channel. And other than that, I come out with videos every Wednesday, and thank you so much for hanging out. Okay.